real estate leaders years ago were fighting this. They were fighting Zillow, and they were fighting, working with mortgage companies and getting referrals. And they're like, oh, fight that. I'm not working for a point. I'm not working for this. And now all of a sudden they're sitting there begging to get into these groups, begging to get into these networks. These billion-dollar organizations, they own the funnel. And that's the one thing I saw years ago in 2010 and 11. I'm like, man, the agent isn't first anymore. So we just got back from HousingWire in Colorado Springs, and I think it was the best event that I may have been to ever in my career. And the way I look at what makes a successful event is content's critically important. Obviously, we want to have good content. They had some of the best industry leaders in our space in mortgage and real estate, and it was really, really good. The other thing that makes a really good event are the people that attend. And I thought the attendance was off the charts. I saw so many great partners and business leaders that I know and got to connect with them, and it's so great to get FaceTime with people. That's the one thing COVID did that has really changed, is you don't get as much FaceTime anymore because everyone's so accustomed to being on their computer. And I don't think there's anything that replaces FaceTime, because I think people get to get a sense of who you are in person, meaning, are they genuine? Are they out for my best interest as well, not just theirs? And when people can see that and feel that, I think it's so important. And that's what I try to do. I try to make sure that whoever I'm meeting with knows that our authenticity is there, and that we just want to help in any way that we can, and that we will help in any way we can. So, part of that relationship building is, of course, face-to-face. Now, what some of the takeaways were that I took away from the event is that there's just mass consolidation going on in the mortgage and real estate space. The reason I think a lot of this is happening, the reason I truly believe it's happening, is it's so hard to make money in one vertical. And so when you talk about mortgage and the margins there, you talk about real estate and the margins there, you have to have many layers of revenue and get the whole ecosystem churning. And the more that a consumer can go down a funnel from search to pre-qual to real estate to title and then to servicing after the closing, and then servicing goes back up to new lead, just better quality. This whole ecosystem of churn is really where the future is going, because you have to own the whole funnel. Now, I'm not fortunate enough to have endless money. I would wish I did. But these major corporations that have billions of dollars, that's the race right now. The race is, how do we own the whole channel and put it all together? Even taking things like a wholesale channel, correspondent channel. There's a lot of moving parts with that, and obviously there's big consolidation going on at the top level. But what I think this means for our industry, meaning real estate specific, it's so hard for broker owners to make money. And so they're getting consolidated too. They're looking at strategies to where they can hang their flag somewhere else because it's too expensive to run brokerage. So you do partnerships, like when people join JMG. We establish partnerships, we put a good comp plan to play, we have shared services with P&Ls, and we always increase that branch's performance in terms of revenue, because we have a lot of things that they pay for, they just plug into JMG. In addition to that, we're adding a lot more business to the channel too. And I think that's going to continue, because I don't see any time in the short term where we're going to see this huge spike of real estate sales. I think it will go up, because I think rates will tick down quite a bit towards the end of this year, but we're not going to see this boom. And it's also incredibly competitive. And where a lot of broker owners have shot themselves in the foot is they give away the farm to their agents, because the agents say, well, I want 95-5 split, or I want 100% split, and I'll pay a little bit of fees. That all sounds good to have high agent count, but that high agent count means you have to have more ops. More ops means you have more expenses. And so you can only do so much. And so when I look at people's, like when I'm looking at a partnership and I'm looking in our due diligence period, and this is actually what I talked about on stage was M&A, that was my panel. I had some great people on that panel too. They were really great. What are you looking at in due diligence? And I'll look at people's financials and I say, how did you close this many transactions and you only made this much money? And they're like, why do you think I'm talking to you? And that's the problem, is that these broker owners that are working 50, 60 hours a week because it's their baby is getting exhaustion because they're not making money. Like, I'm not going to keep doing this anymore. And if they produce, they're saying, I'll just produce and not have this burden on my shoulder of brokerage. So I think it continues, and I think it gets even bigger. And I know we want to participate in that, in new partnerships and growing with M&A and having team leaders and broker owners come to JMG. It's one of our core strategies right now. And I think we can really help, but that consolidation too is gonna continue. You're gonna see a lot of brands that seem like strong brands to the public that they don't know that what the debt load is. They don't understand that it's not penciling anymore, and you can only hang on for so long. And so you're going to get, like on the big acquisitions, you're going to see the Compasses of the world continue to do a lot of M&A, the Anywheres of the world, and on that side. And then I think mid-level and small mom and pop brokerages is where we want to come into the fold, because we don't want to take over big brokerages. That's not our play. We want to take over brokerages that have 20, 30, 40, 50 agents, get part of them on our referral team, cranking out deals. The other side leave traditional, status quo, and continue to grow our market centers that way. But it's going to continue. And it's interesting to see what the real players are doing and thinking, how can I tap into that? Real estate leaders years ago were fighting this. They were fighting Zillow, and they were fighting, working with mortgage companies and getting referrals, and because they had referral fees applicable to the real estate side, and they're like, oh, fight that. I'm not working for a point. I'm not working for this. And now all of a sudden they're sitting there begging to get into these groups, begging to get into these networks, because you've got to be transactional. And so where you had opportunity in the past because you didn't jump on it then, now a lot of these groups are closed. You can't even get in. I think there'll be abundance out there to grab more and more transactions with a lot of the things that are going on. And we hope to participate in that. We want to participate in that, and we want to be a great partner for those organizations. So it was a great event. The best leaders in the space were there. And I got to give a shout out to HousingWire on the job that they did. It was beautiful. The setup was incredible. Beautiful place in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor. Mountains in the back. Beautiful setting. Wonderful content. And great discussions. We couldn't go 5 minutes. We couldn't go a minute without running into somebody that we just had to stop and give a hug and say, how you been? And we need to catch up. It was so good to see that. And it was so good to see so many people face to face. So kudos to HousingWire. And I definitely can't wait for next year's, because this was exceptional. No, I think there's always opportunity for people. I just think it's harder. When a lot of these organizations launch their partnerships, that's when they need you. And then all of a sudden, they establish a pool of great agents. Some of them, many of them perform, many of them don't. And then they look to backfill. And then you find yourself in a few years saying, okay, I got a solid network now. Like, building a network is hard, and it takes a lot of time. And so having that solid network, but it's been going on for many years at this point, so a lot of those networks have been established. I still think there's opportunity for backfilling agents that are non-performing agents, non-performing teams. Abundance, if someone all of a sudden gets a lot more deal flow, I think you can tap in there. But it's so important to establish these relationships, because these billion-dollar organizations, they own the funnel. And that's the one thing I saw years ago in 2010 and 11. I'm like, man, the agent isn't first anymore. Big business is first. How can we create value for them? How can we participate in what they're doing and bring them value? And in exchange, we're creating our value. It's very interesting, but it's exciting. I think we're in a really good spot. I really do. I'm excited for what JMG has ahead of them. We got a lot of great partners, and all we have to do is make sure that we're servicing at the highest level, communicating very well, and doing a great job for them. And I think that our ceiling, we're not even close to scratching the surface. You have agents that want, they're independent contractors. They want to do their own thing. They don't want to be told when to update their leads or update their portal or communicate at a high level with the loan officers that are giving you these opportunities. That's where I think our unique advantage is our training that we have, because our agents work for our brokerage. When we get referrals in, it doesn't go to somebody that's at a different brand on a different team that is rogue, and you have very little ability to communicate with them. For us, it's easy because they're all under our brand, our brokerage. And our brokerage is unique in the sense of everyone's on the same comp. Doesn't matter where you're at when it comes to company business. And we do that on purpose, because if a referral partner called us and said, hey, things are tight, which they are, we need to raise our referral fee, no problem. We want to raise it to 40%. My response is, are you sure you don't want 45? Are you sure you don't want 50? And I say that because I just want to be transactional, and I want to maintain that partnership. And for those teams and agents that say, no, that's crazy, I'm not paying that kind of money, great, I'll happily take your spot. And so we can be very flexible and very accommodating, because what I do is I eat that at corporate. So we'll raise an agent split based on what the referral fee is, because agents need to make money. And there's partnerships that we have where our agents make 80% of the referral that we send them, some of them. And the reason we do that is we want somebody that's still excited to work with this client. You're not nickel and diming, you're making sure that every deal the agent, it's worth their time and effort, not only from the front end, but what that client could bring in the back end, which is friends and family referrals, retransacting. But that's why JMG is unique, because we have the ability in one email, I can change whatever we need to change, and it's universal across the board in all 42 states with all of our 1,100 agents. I don't know if there's another place like that. And I'm just being honest, I don't know. And so you have to accommodate at all costs. When a partner needs something, or they make a change, or there's new messaging, that's why JMG is such a great partner, because at scale, we can help you with 1,000 agents across the country, right? And so it's easy. We're a very easy account to work with, so yeah.